Hey everybody, welcome back to PCW Rewind. I'm your host CQ. This is where we get to take a look back at some of my all-time favorite interviews and celebrity guest appearances from my live show, Pop Culture Warrior. For those of you that are new here, you can catch the live show every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, on pretty much every social media platform. Just search for WTF Nation Radio. And if you are new, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss when we share awesome new celebrity guest interviews almost every week. In this episode, I sat down with an absolute legend from the world of improv. If you've ever seen an episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway, then you've seen him, because he's literally on every episode going all the way back to the originals. The incredibly charming, funny, and charismatic Colin Mochrie. We talked all about his early years, when he started improv, and how he got into the entertainment industry. How improv changed his personal life and became a part of his everyday mantra. He told us who his favorite cast member to kiss is, what the craziest rumor he's ever heard about himself, and he even answered that age-old question between improv, sketch, and stand-up: who would you marry, fuck, or kill? So without further ado, please enjoy the Pop Culture Warrior interview of Colin Mochrie. My guest tonight is improv royalty. He's honestly someone who doesn't even need introduction, but you know, we gotta do the thing. So, born in Scotland, oldest of three children. Family first moved to Montreal, Quebec, and then 5 years later to Vancouver, British Columbia. Self-proclaimed loner who watched way too much TV as a child. Went on to graduate high school as a valedictorian. He attended Studio 58 Theater School for 4 years, where he discovered the art of improvisational comedy. He later joined the Vancouver Theater Sports League, where he met his lifelong friend Ryan Stiles, before eventually moving on to Toronto and joining up with Second City Comedy Troupe, where he met his lovely wife. It was in 1989 when he auditioned for the first new British Channel 4 improv comedy show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? And the rest, as they say, is history. He was once quoted as saying, "My most important professional accomplishment to date is the ability to keep working with absolutely no skills whatsoever." Ladies and gentlemen, it is my very great pleasure tonight to say yes and welcome to the show, Colin Mochrie. I mean,
lovely introduction. And I have to say, you got everything right. So obviously you didn't get it off of Wikipedia.
Yeah.
You actually did your research.
Yeah,
Well,
you know, let me tell you something. There's some red herrings in there, man. I feel like you threw in some false facts to try to throw us off the scent, but you know, I did a little bit of digging. But welcome to the show. Like, you have no idea how excited people are that you're going to be on the show and that you're live with us. That's really you. This isn't one of those lookalikes. You know, this isn't pre-recorded. You're live. You're here.
Excited. I'm still alive.
Another mark against death. You got it. You nailed it. Okay, so much to cover. So I want to get right into it. We were just discussing. I said, you know, first and foremost, this is kind of a military themed, skewed kind of a show. What, if any, is your connection to the military? Family, friends, supporter, just anything at all?
Supporter. I don't have. My father was in during World War II. He was in communications. He never really talked about it, except that he caused problems. But he never really elaborated on that. I just knowing my father, he's a bit of, you couldn't tell him things. So I would think that would be a bad example to have in the Army, someone who's not really good at following orders.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, that's you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
You gotta find that balance.
Yeah, you know, you got a lot of guys that weren't the greatest, but that's okay. Fantastic. All right, cool. So you do have a bit of a family connection. That's awesome. We appreciate you being here and taking the time with us. Obviously everyone knows you from Whose Line. We're going to talk about it, but I really want to take the time to kind of get to know you a bit
Okay.
and just hear about improv in general, right? Because you've obviously established your whole life, your career, your at this point you are improv, right? You're the embodiment, the physical
Sure.
embodiment brought to life.
Yeah. It's like the Force, very much like the Force.
Very much like the Force. Exactly. You can channel it and bring it out. You've been doing like, is it 40 plus years of improvising at this point?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. When you put it into numbers, it really is almost overwhelming because many times I feel like, oh, this just happened a couple of years ago. And then you go, oh, no, it didn't. I could bend my knees. I could do a show without getting winded.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, and I still love doing it. It's still the most fun I have performing. And I've been incredibly fortunate to work with some amazing people all around the world. So it just never gets boring.
Right, right. I mean, so okay, so if I'm doing my math right, 40 years plus counting. So that's got to be a world record for like the longest game of make believe ever, right? You've got it.
It is kind of being allowed to be like Peter Pan.
Right.
It's I have the real life where you have to be adult and make good choices. And then you have the improv life where you can do anything and your choices, they could be the most ridiculous thing in the world. And usually they are, but there's always someone there backing you up. So it's a perfect balance of life and childishness.
Oh, that's awesome. Which, by the way, I gotta say, thank you for taking the time from teaching at Hogwarts to be here today, because it looks. I mean, it must be challenging.
Well, the West Wing is under construction right now. So
Gotcha.
I thought
Gotcha.
I'd just be here for a little while.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. It's nice and quiet there. So again, not to carbon date you here, but what you've seen improv for through these decades. I'm just from your perspective, the insider's perspective, how has improv changed over this time?
Well, when I started, it was new. I mean, when I was growing up, no one ever said, you know what, I want to be an improviser. Because, first of all, there was no such thing. There was no place the only improviser that I knew of at that point, and I still didn't have the word improvise, was Jonathan Winters, who I just realized a lot of your audience is going to start Googling all through this interview. But Jonathan Winters was a comic. No, he wasn't really a stand-up, but he would go on talk shows. There's a clip of him on the Jack Parr show. Google again. Tonight Show, pre-Johnny Carson. But where Jack Parr just gave Jonathan Winters a stick. And that was it. And for the next 5 minutes, he did scene after scene using that stick as different props. So that was my first sort of introduction of a person just free-forming as a career. And he was the only person who did that. And then I guess Robin Williams was sort of the next time I was aware of that from, Mork and Mindy. And when I was in theater school, I was introduced to improv. And I thought, oh, this is a fun thing to do on the weekends. And of course, if it wasn't for Whose Line, it gave us all a career, which we're all thankful for. And it brought improv into sort of the mainstream. There was some backlash in that, in many ways, Whose Line goes against the purest form of improv,
Right?
Because of the medium. Everything has to be fast, it has to be jokey. Whereas, on stage, you can take your time, build characters. But because of the medium, it had to be more jokey than it's supposed to be. Although, I didn't care because I loved it. And I always tell people, Whose Line is the vaudeville of improv. It gets you to other kinds of improv, like long form. And we started with the short form. Then it got into people coming up with different ways of doing a longer form of improv. So you don't have to keep getting suggestions. You would start off with one suggestion and then just do, I've done one act plays. I did a improvised Dungeons and Dragons, a game I know nothing about, but it was so much fun. And that's the beauty of improv. You can fit it to almost to every genre,
Right.
and it will fit. All you need is that commitment and that willingness to go for it.
That's fantastic. And guys, like I said, we have a live audience, so if you have any questions at all, put them in the chats. We're gonna riff here a bit, and then I promise I'll get to as many of them as I can. So put them in the chats for Colin. But already we're getting a lot of people saying you look fantastic. You don't look like you've aged much.
God bless you. Well, I moisturize. It's
The secrets. We'll talk. We'll get to the secrets later. And already people saying, "Man, I'd love to play him in Dungeons and Dragons," and yada yada yada. All right, so I guess the next thing I'm curious is, I've seen, as somebody who, I mean, I love stand-up comedy, I love improv, I watch Whose Line Is It Anyway? Comedy in and of itself is kind of going through changes, right? Audience, society in general are starting to get less tolerant of like old, ignorant, kind of racist, sexist tropes. I mean, I've seen it in stand-up, maybe not so much in improv. Have you seen where there's been some of that pushback, or does improv kind of get away with it because it's so in the moment and gone?
There really has been. Well, I don't know if it's a pushback, but there has been a concerted effort amongst improv troops to be aware of that. I mean, when I look back on things we did on Whose Line and just improv, at times it's incredibly embarrassing. I have a trans daughter, and when she came out, I was posting about it, and I got this letter from a person who runs a improv troupe in Britain, and it's for the LGBTQ community. And they said, I just wanted to thank you for supporting your daughter. I think that is great. Can I just ask you that you be more aware of the homophobic things you do on Whose Line? Mm. And immediately I went, yes, yes, because we did. And a lot of it, I mean, in the early days, a lot of it was just pure ignorance and panic, going for the laugh and going for the easy laugh.
Right.
And so it raised, I said, do you mind if I put this letter on Facebook? And all these improv troops sort of, piped in saying, yeah, we're talking about that. We're trying to make it so it's a safe space for the improvisers, for women, for people of color, for people whatever their gender or sexual preference. So audiences have been odd. And because they seem to be looking for stuff that isn't there. So you'll say something that's totally innocent. They'll do a reaction like, oh, that could be kind of racist. Then you kind of stop and go, what did I do? What did I do? And then you're sort of thrown and so that has been sort of an adjustment to also try to educate the audience and that, everybody here, before every show, there's always sort of a get together. People say, I have a problem if you're going to be intimate with me in a scene, or if you're going to pick me up, my back is sore. So there's sort of a check-in, and we're very aware of being sensitive to everybody's whatever. And we just want the audience to know we're not out to make fun of any particular group. Of course, we can get dirty at times, but everything is above board. So we don't need you kind of policing us to that extent. Yes, call us if there's been something horrible and we'll get on that. But you can't be looking for stuff. And it just kind of destroys the flow of what improv is.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is, this idea of cancel culture, where you have these police that are like, it's my job. I was chosen by the higher power to watch everything and call it out. I think it's a bit ridiculous. And I do feel for the performers, the guys who are out there night after night, improv, stand-up, because you have to. We just had an actor on last week, and we were talking about this idea of like social media. You have to watch what you say. Like, I can't just express myself, even if it's a joke, if it's a thought, if it's a thing. I have to think 3, 4, 5 times before I hit that publish button. Because, like, is this going to end my career? you know,
Yeah.
and I can't imagine as an improviser when you're trying to free flow, you're trying to just am in the moment, and then something comes out and you're like, oh, uh-oh. Like, have you ever had that panic where you're like, you're not sure if you crossed the line, or you're like, oh, how do I pull that back?
I did. There was something I did that I I knew I hadn't crossed the line. It was a totally innocent remark, but the audience reacted in such a way that it became a racist remark.
Mm.
And I immediately felt horrible. And I went up to the person I was doing the scene with and I said, I did not mean, and they said, you know what? That was absolutely nothing. That
Mm.
was, it was, and so that was fine. But it's weird. I mean, Brad Sherwood and I have been doing a show for 18 years now. We've been touring. And in the last, about 8 years ago, we had to start saying, we're not taking any political suggestions at all, because immediately the audience was split in half.
Yeah, you lose half
And
the
you could
audience.
feel, and my thing always was, we're not political comedians. Our political satire goes to, what a dick. It doesn't really, it's not really insightful. That's why we have people like, John Oliver or Jon Stewart, who write and come up with sharp ways to deflate someone. So we just decided, yeah, we're not doing that. And it's been great because it started during the Bush administration. You'd make like the most inoffensive, like, oh, what a dummy. And immediately it was like a parting of the Red Sea. And you thought, okay, this is not worth that one little cheap laugh to lose the audience for the rest of the show.
Right. Yeah. And unfortunately, some people like, I know, some great comedians that will call it out, but they go, look, I know I lost you on this joke. You're still thinking about it. Like, I've moved on. And like, it's this idea of like, you get stuck on that one thought and you can't then enjoy the rest of it. I took a great stand-up writing class and they talked about, don't do political humor because like you hit it on the head. Even if it's the best joke ever, you've lost half the audience. You're splitting it right down the middle, so it's not worth it. I'm curious. You've honed your brain to be this amazing improviser. How has that mindset kind of affected how you approach relationships? So humor in your life outside of the job.
Yeah. It's a different thing. Like I've never won an argument with my wife. I've never talked my way out of a ticket. I don't, because in real life, I'm just panicking. Whereas on stage, I'm with people I trust. I know what I'm doing. And so there's this little world that's totally safe. I know everything's going to be fine. I know exactly. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know what's going to happen. I know it's going to be good. I don't have those guarantees in life. And my wife, who's amazing, just amazing. And we actually made a concerted effort, I guess about 10 years ago now. We said, why don't we use the rules of improv in our life? Because people always say, how do you improvise? It's so difficult. It's not. It's just you have to do things you don't do in real life. You have to listen. You have to accept ideas and make the person you're with look good. That's it. That's all you have to do. So we thought, why don't we say yes to things that maybe are a little outside of our comfort zone, that maybe scare us a little, and see what happens. The very first thing that came up after we made this choice was we were asked by a group called World Vision to go to the Congo, which was not one of our vacation destinations. So, but we said, you know what? We said we were going to say yes. So we did. It ended up being one of the most incredible trips we ever took. We left North America right after Christmas at the height of consumerism. And then we were in the jungles, complete poverty. But with these people who had this spirit, my favorite memory was watching my wife leading all these kids by the watering hole in the hokey pokey. And they didn't know what it was, but they got the movements, and it was just an amazing experience for us. And so since then, within reason,
Sure.
we will say yes to things, and it's just led on. And it's also the thing that improv has helped me with in my real life is not to make judgments right away. Going into a situation, I'm going to be open and see what happens, and then respond as I would respond, rather than, okay, I don't trust this guy. I think he's going to screw me. But going in with kind of an open mind, and I find more often than not, I'm happily surprised.
Wow. People take notes. We need more people in the world to have that mentality, and I think we'd be in a much better place. You mentioned, since 2002, you've been doing the touring improv show with fellow cast member Brad Sherwood. Given the pandemic situation, I know you've taken that show online and really have done some impressive things considering, what you're trying to mimic and applying that online. I'm curious, what's been the biggest challenge doing all of this virtually with technology and whatnot?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's so weird to do a comedy show to silence. Brad, totally used to it. Me, I need the laughter. So just finding a way to make the technology our friend as opposed to something that limits us. So when we first came up with ideas of how to do this show, and first, big shout out to our friends and family who had to watch the first couple of shows we did. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you so much. We quickly learned we were trying to do a Zoom representation of our live show, which didn't work because our live show, our scenes can go for 10, 15 minutes, and we always kind of break it up, like talking to the audience. And we realized fairly quickly with Zoom, everyone's attention span shrinks immediately. So we ended up doing it's more of a sort of improvised sketch show. It's still everything we get from the audience, but the scenes are shorter and snappier. We found ways to use the green screen technology. So we're doing some really kind of goofy, fun special effects. So it's been as close, I think, as we can get to being in front of a live audience. I mean, I don't get any of it. Brad is in Las Vegas. I'm in Toronto. We have two computers, a green screen, lights. We have someone in New York who's throwing things up behind us. It looks like we're in the same room. We can go into a person's living room, talk to them, have them in our scene. So it's been cool figuring out how to use that technology to make the show still fun for us and not just, am I in the right position? And it's really been exciting. And now we're trying to figure out a way, once we do get back to touring, is there a way we can use this stuff in our live tour? So, yeah. And we really had a creative burst with this show, which was exciting because there are times you think, oh God, we've made every piece of shit up. What else can we do? But we always manage to find a different way of doing things that keeps us excited.
Yeah. I've seen a bit of it, and it is amazing what you guys have done with the technology aspect. I know a bunch of comedians in the local area who've tried to transition into that virtual reality and performing, but like you said, that silence is deafening. I mean, because you feed off the audience. I'm curious, like when you first came up with the idea, like, well, let's do this. What made you think it could work in the first place? Like, what gave you the balls, sir, to attempt something like that?
Well, my entire career is not knowing what's going to work and just hoping for the best. And kudos to the tech team for coming up with ways of doing this. And also, it seemed when we were starting this, the technology was changing from day to day. It was like upgrading and changing, and they were really on top of it. And it really became a collaborative effort between all of us to figure out what we could do. And once we got our friends and family out of the way, we felt that we had a show that would work. And it's just grown so much since then as we got more comfortable with it and figure out what we could do and get back to the pure improv thing of having fun with it. And I think that's the advantage we have as opposed to stand-ups. Brad and I have each other, so we're still playing off someone. We can still see the fun in each other's eyes when we make each other laugh. So it's just been wonderful.
Yeah, and I think you touched on this a little bit, but the idea of incorporating like this tech stuff that you're playing with now, finding a way to creatively and in a fun way bring it into a live show is awesome. And how have you seen, or I should say, how do you see that this kind of technology is maybe going to improve, improv just in general over the course of the future?
I don't know, because part of the beauty of improv is just seeing some actors, two stools, and them making it up, and you using your imagination. We did a show with Drew called Drew Carey's Green Screen,
right,
which is a great stoner show. It was basically, we'd be improvising, and I guess a green screen, and then afterwards we'd be given to all these animators, these world famous animators, and they would do all the backgrounds. And I mean, it was cool to look at. It was hard for us because we had like a 3x3 box we could work in because of the technology. We couldn't really explore. And as opposed to just doing the scene, you also had to think, I have to do this in a visual way so the animators have something they can work with. So it was really difficult. But so part of me thinks, no, it should just be the improvisers and a bare stage.
The pureness of it.
The pureness. But I think there's also something cool about, we did, when we were doing the Just for Laughs festival, we hosted the gala, and usually there's a big opening thing that the stand-ups do, like a musical number, and we don't have stuff like that, but we came up with the idea of the sideways scene, where we are on our sides, the camera's on the roof,
right.
And it was really cool. And I think those kind of things, if it's kept to sort of a minimum, so it's more of a special thing, as opposed to, okay, here's our next special effect. I mean, the best special effect are two people working with nothing except your suggestion to come up with a fully realized scene.
Fantastic. No, I mean, you nailed it. I think that's the way it should be. But yeah, moving forward, I mean, if not for experimentation, if not for pushing the boundaries, whose line is it anyway? Doesn't exist. If we kept it to the purest form. So who knows what the future has. Guys, we're going to start getting to your questions now. So go ahead. They've been filling the chats. I've been ignoring them all because I'm enjoying this, man. I really am.
This is actually the most I've ever talked, because I'm not a people person. My wife calls the guy on Whose Line the other, because it's so unlike me. He's a laugh whore. He will do anything for attention. Whereas in real life, I'm the quiet one. She's the storyteller. She's the funny one. So it's nice to be relaxed with someone and being able to talk to them. So thank you.
Hey, huge honor. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, we're going to start getting to your questions too. Maybe I'll just ask one more. I have to ask this one because a good friend of mine sent it to me. And it's such I've never asked a question like this. So bear with me. Murder, fuck, kill, improv, stand-up, sketch.
Oh my God.
I said, dude, I've got to ask that question, man. That's beautiful. Good luck, sir. Good luck.
So what? So murder, fuck, kill.
Yes. You got to murder one. You got to fuck one. You got to kill one. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Marry. I'm sorry. Marry, right. Fuck. I totally screwed that one up. Marry, fuck, kill.
Oh, this is just going to make so many enemies. I will say... it's
not like your career is based around it or anything.
Yeah. I'll say marry improv. Marry improv, fuck sketch, kill stand-up.
Yes. I don't agree, sir, but I respect the answer.
And even if you ask me why'd you pick those, I don't know. Because I have nothing but the deepest respect for stand-ups. To me, that is the hardest comedic art form. The people who do it well, I am just in awe of how they can do it, because to me, I don't know how they do it. So So I guess I should change my answer. I'll fuck them.
Well, I'm sure they all appreciate it. No, I like I said, I've done stand up. I've taken some classes and I've had some experiences. I think to me, stand up is way easy, right? Because I can take my time, I can write the material, I can practice it, I know what I'm gonna say. I'm it's almost like I'm the puppet master, right? I'm telling you when to laugh. I'm gonna let you know when it's time to laugh. But improvisers to be able to just walk in there and go like, all right, give me a thing, give me a number, give me a whatever, and I'm gonna make you laugh. Like that's oh man, I have
Oh, you see, totally opposite. To me, it's like the audience knows, okay, what you've written, you think is funny, prove it to me. They sit back and with us improvisers, they know we have nothing. We don't have to make sense. If you transcribe any of the scenes from Whose Line and try to do it as a sketch, it would fail because it makes no sense. It's just of that moment with that audience and those people. So there's really kind of no pressure in a way.
wow. Yeah, you know that I mean that does. I will concede the point, sir. I remember once someone telling me that it's the comedian's job to win the audience, right? You have to come out, you have to boom, hit them, impress them, let them know that hey, I'm going to make you laugh and win them. Where I think I've been in an improv audience. You go that you want them to succeed. I want this to be. I'm on your side. I want to be part of this. So yeah, I'll give you that. Okay. I'll concede to your 40 years of knowledge versus my couple years. So a few of the comments, I think people were mentioning about how you said you've never won a fight with your wife, and they say that's genius. Just let her win always. So
Yeah, it's worked out so far.
Always happy wife. Okay. First question from the audience from Phil. Who's the better kisser, Ryan or Wayne?
Oh, jeez. Really? That's the first question?
First question out the gate.
Well, I'm trying to well, it's hard because I've kissed Ryan the most, so it's probably boring at this point. You know what? They're both. I'll tell you who the best. I'm going to go off.
Go for it.
Choices. Drew Carey. He had the softest lips. Was very tender and caring. So
I can believe that. I believe that answer. So, Phil, there's your answer. Okay, what else? I want to get to as many. It's just a lot of comments about they love you and the shows and. I mean, blah blah blah. I'm sure you're used to this. Phil also said, 8 years of the British version is still on Hulu, so people go watch the classics. So that's
yeah.
There.
We just had the 30th anniversary of the British one, I guess like 3 years ago, and we went back to England. It was Brad, Greg Proops, Chip Heston. And we had some of the Josie Lawrence from the British cast, Clive Anderson, the original host, and we did 4 shows at the Royal Albert Hall. I just thought this is so wrong in so many ways. You're walking back and there's pictures of the Beatles and Sinatra and all these, and it's like, oh, look at me, I'm a chicken.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I'm sure if they would have did it, everybody would have went crazy. The Beatles start breaking into improv. Okay, so Daniel says your green screen is on point, sir. But I mean, it goes with the business, so you look phenomenal. Tina wants to know: do you do TikToks?
I don't. I mean, I've always sort of been the last to jump onto anything. I was the last person I knew that got an iPhone. I got onto Twitter fairly late. I'm on Instagram, but I always forget. So every once in a while, my wife is constantly on there. So I think, oh, I got to go on and like something she's done. And I go, oh, I'm on here. People are talking to me. Oh, my God. But yeah, TikTok, no. And it's getting down to a point, isn't it, where it's just like you have all of a sudden you just have 1 second of screen time and that'll be it.
Yeah. I mean, the attention span seems to be getting shorter and shorter. Also from Tina, I thought this was awesome. I don't know how much TV you watch or whatnot, but there's a show called Impractical Jokers. Very much in the spirit of what you guys do, but obviously it's with the general public not being in on the joke. She said it would be a dream, I guess, project if somehow you guys as the or the Impractical Jokers could work with you, or you could work with the Impractical Jokers. Would that ever be something that interests you, like doing the hidden camera kind of show?
Yeah, sure. Um, there was I was approached. This was I guess a few years after the Who's line um, withdrew, sort of burst on the scene, and I had a meeting with someone, and this there was two guys. The main producer and an assistant. He goes, you know what? I'd like to do a thing where it's like hidden camera, where you go up and you pretend. And the guy said, I think people know him. They won't fall for it. He goes, but well, I've never seen him. And I thought, why are you offering me a show?
Yeah, fair enough.
For television, but I would love to do that. I'm really open to anything I'm not comfortable with. Before everything was shut down, I was doing a show with a hypnotist where he would hypnotize audience members and I would improvise with them. It was the freakiest, scariest thing ever, but it was so much fun. Looking into people whose eyes aren't really kind of focused, and they were just pure improvisers. They were just responding to everything I said to them. And afterwards, I would talk to them and go, do you remember stuff? And they said, oh, yeah, I remember every single thing. Everything you said sounded like a great idea. So I did it.
The barriers were down, all the filters, so to speak.
Apparently, when people are hypnotized, what happens is the part of the brain that deals with self-criticism activity kind of stops and your creativity builds. So it was fascinating.
Fascinating. Huh. From Mike in the chats, have you ever thrown down with the Kids in the Hall or Broken Lizard?
Kids in the Hall, I've worked with them a lot. I did their miniseries, Death Comes to Town. Bruce McCullough is now a major director, so I've worked with him, I think, like 4 times on different projects. Kevin McDonald and I just did a movie called Boys versus Girls, sort of an 80s camp movie. Who else? Oh, Dave Foley and Mark McKinney and Scott Thompson. I've worked with all of them in various projects. They are fun and dangerous and a good time, always.
In the best ways, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, Phil. I'm assuming this is an inside joke or something. I'm curious, but ask him how he really feels about tapioca.
Yeah, the weird thing about improv, it's not really the weird, it's just the nature of the beast, is when you're doing a stage show, once the show's done, that's it. You don't really remember anything because you're sort of in survival mode for the entire show. So unless something has gone horribly wrong, those are the times you remember, but usually nothing. With Whose Line, there's all these moments that I've come to know only because people keep mentioning it to me. And one of the things is tapioca. I made Ryan Stiles laugh once. And for no reason I can really discern, just by saying tapioca. And he lost it for like 3 minutes. So that became a thing, tapioca. Tapioca, the cat, and Richard Simmons. Those are the 3 things that are going to be in my tombstone that will make no sense to anybody.
People will come across and just die laughing, literally. Who is your favorite host to work with?
Oh, see, people just want to cause trouble. Every host has been amazing. Clive, the host of the British one, was so quintessentially British. Dry, sarcastic, incredibly intelligent. He was a barrister who got into stand-up, as you do. But always lovely to see him. Drew, one of the most generous, fun people to work with. Every year, he would take us on trips, the crew and the cast of both the Drew Carey Show and Whose Line. Take us on. He's the kind of millionaire everyone should know. Just generous and loves you. And Aisha, I have to say, I was worried. Well, not worried, but I thought, oh, okay. So Aisha's hosting. Okay, so it's a beautiful black woman who's a nerd, very intelligent. How are we? Well, within minutes,
She's
we're making fun
imposing
of each
too.
other.
But when she
She's
stands up, she's very
she's
intimidating.
tall. She's tall. I can take her, but she is. No, she's been great. She's just being a. I love that every host has brought something different to it, and so it's like, trying to pick your three. I don't know, three things you can't pick.
Right, got you.
That's how I improvise in real life.
Luckily, there's no cameras on right now. So this one's making fun of me, and I'm gonna caveat it. I was responding to an email. We were talking with your people, and was responding to an email really quick. When I put your name in and I shot it off, one of our front desk staff was like, "Did you see what you sent?" And I looked, and it had auto corrected your name from Colin Mochrie to Colin Mocha. So the question from the chat is, does your name get auto corrected very often? So something like Colin.
Colin Mocha is more rampant than you would think. It's mostly, the first name is mostly Colin. The second name I've had Mariachi.
That's a good one.
But yeah, I find it extremely irritating when I'm writing my name on my computer, and it's like, well, my computer should know me. It should know my name by now. For God's sake, don't put the colon mariachi. It's just.
I'm sorry if you ever decide to like go anonymously. I think Colin Mocha is a phenomenal name.
No, autocorrect is evil. It truly it's. I think it was sort of started as some evil prank because, yes, it has its uses, but so often it just goes way off in its own demented little mind.
Yeah, some of the words I just don't understand how you get from one. When he's like, "Oh fuck" to duck, like, okay, I get that. All right, know, but there's just somewhere it just goes completely. Like, when would I ever use that word in a sentence ever in that context? But anyway, okay, a couple more questions for you. Okay, so I do, again, I've done my homework. I just wanted to point out that I mean, you've had an illustrious career, even outside of Whose Line, just in the world of improv and comedy. These are awards you've won. Not even, we're not even counting nominated. Won. Best Male Improviser, Best Male Performance on Television, Best B-Movie Hollywood Appearance or Cameo, Best Script for TV, Comedy, or Variety, Best TV Writing in a Special or Episode, Best Ensemble Performance in a Comedy Program or Series, the ACTRA Toronto Award of Excellence. I mean, come on. The Canadian Comedy Awards Dave Broadfoot Award, and, I mean, amazingly, Canadian Comedy Person of the Year. I mean, at this point, is there anything left? Are you?
No, I'm done.
You save some for the rest of the people? I mean, come on.
It's been nice, and I don't want to brag, but this year in the sort of the Canadian Screen Awards, which is sort of our Emmys, I'm nominated for three different awards, and what's odd is when you get a phone call, and I actually went. They went, "You've been nominated," and I went, "For what?" Are you kidding? Like, what have I done that's... And even when they told me, I thought, really? Okay. Part of it, I think, is just reputation.
I mean, hey, I think it's one of those things, they say like a person gets a celebrity status and you make so much money and then all of a sudden you start getting free things, right? Like you can't even spend the money.
I'm looking forward to making lots of money. Whose Line? Love the show. Let me just say right off, love the show. Love what it's done for us all. Cheapest show in the history of television. Our entire 30 years, we have not cost one friend. Matt LeBlanc, maybe.
I got you. Okay. All right. I mean, but maybe it's part of the reason it's so charming because it stays
You know
homey.
what? We tend to rate it on just the amount of love we generate.
There you go. And what's better than that?
Nothing.
Okay, a question I don't think you've ever been asked. Now, all those awards, which is the heaviest?
I think the Dave Broadfoot one is, and Dave Broadfoot was a very respected comedian, a sketch artist, and someone I was fortunate enough to work with a couple of times. So, and that was an award that meant a lot to me. But yeah, it's heavy. It's one of those that you could easily kill people with.
Fantastic. And speaking of that, again, a little tidbit. I don't know if you know this. You won that award in 2013. They stopped giving them out in 2014. So, I mean, is that a coincidence? Did you win it?
No, I have been known to break Canadian comedy. So,
I mean, you won it so well, they just couldn't give it to anyone else. That's what
I
I
have to
take.
say, and I wish I could remember it, but I think that was one of the best acceptance speeches I ever did because it was a surprise. I didn't know about the award. My wife knew about it and had kept it secret. I didn't know there was an award. I didn't know I was getting it. I was supposed to be doing a sketch with someone, and then right in the middle they gave me this award, and it was like, and I gave this amazing speech. It's gone forever. I don't remember any part of it. I said something nice about my wife. I'm not even sure how exactly it was, but it did well for me.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Phil in the chats wants to know, are there any plans on doing more of those YouTube cast get-together chats? They were really fun watching you all banter back and forth.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it was all pretty, as usual, kind of off the cuff and not really planned. And my favorite thing was, I'm not great with technology. Ryan is Amish. We're all doing our Zoom, and then I'm looking at his Zoom picture, and I think, Ryan, your email is on the bottom corner. We're broadcasting to hundreds, thousands of people. He just got inundated with emails all week.
So you changed his email account, right?
Yeah, he did. So we have to. I think we may do more. I know we got renewed for another season, even though we have not filmed since 2019. Last season and this next season will be stuff that have been filmed that we're not don't have to be around for. It's like perfect.
Yeah, that's the kind of job you get paid and renewed. Yeah.
So when those come out, I'll talk to the guys and we'll do a bit of a Zoom thing.
Nice, fantastic. Okay, man. We're running short on time, but there's some really good questions here. Let's see. So it's a credit to you because obviously the British show ran for 7 years, and you were on it pretty much the whole run, and then jumped to 98 in August. It debuts on American TV. You're there from the first episode to when it ends that first run in 2006, and then gets renewed, and has been on since 2013. And you've been on every episode. As far as the American, from what I could gather, 369 episodes. You've been on all of them, which beats out Ryan at 367.
Yeah.
So
my career has always been, when I graduated from theater school, a lot of people I graduated with immediately got work. That wasn't for me. I took my time, but my thing was my career is going to be built on stamina and hanging in till everyone else dies or quits. And that's the way it's worked. I just hanging in there. Ryan got food poisoning for a couple of shows. I was still there. Wayne went off to Broadway. I'm still there. I'm like a cockroach. Comedy cockroach.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's a great inspiration for people that hey, if you just put your head down and just just hang in. You never know what could happen.
Exactly. Life is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Right. And you said, I think it wasn't until you were 40 something, 44, before like it really took off for
Yeah.
you, right?
But I became an international comedy icon. It took that long.
Unfortunately, I mean, the people missed out the first couple of years.
Well, I often think, I think it was the best time for me. Because I think if it happened when I was young and not ready for it, that could have really kind of screwed me up. I was at the point where, oh, this is nice, but it could end tomorrow. So I'm just going to have fun, enjoy it, see where it goes.
Fantastic. So before we lose you, nah,
Why, what's that?
that was a terrible segue after you like until I died. Like, well, before we lose you, I meant before we end the night. I'm curious, and I'm sure a lot of people are. What's a typical day? I mean, take us behind the curtain. Pun intended. What's a typical day for shooting an episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway?
It's almost embarrassing to talk about the show because we shoot for 2 weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we show up. We maybe show up the week before to try out, the wardrobe, and I'm the only person who just says yes to everything. I don't care. So we do stuff like that. Then we may have a rehearsal to try out new games. Then the day of the shoot, we usually get there maybe around 5, well, maybe around 4. We get on our seats. We kind of go, okay, these are the games we're playing. We go, we go for dinner. We do the show, and then we leave. The show goes, I guess, about 4 hours. We shoot about 22 games. And while the show is going on, the producer is cutting the show into different shows because we can get 4 to 5 shows from that taping. Right. So he's going, okay, so we could, sound effects could start the second act of another show. We could start scenes with a hack. So the last hour is where we actually work the most, because all of that is Aisha running down the stairs going, okay, now we're going to start off with scenes from a hat. Or she runs down the stairs, okay, we're going to start off with questions. So that's the time where we have to really work to keep the audience sort of invested. And basically, it's just us slamming the producer and making British jokes. It works well.
And so if that's the case, and sorry for all the people that didn't want to know how the sausage is made, does that mean then you do like 4 or 5 hoedowns in one sitting, because that's how every episode ends?
Sometimes we do. I mean, the beauty of the show is, even if a scene goes wrong, it just ends up being, Ryan smashing his head into the desk and breaking the neon light kept in. Wayne picking up an audience member, showing her ass to the camera. That was kept in. But yeah, and hoedown, I can't push how much hoedown is despised by every single person on the show. Like, not even, it's not like, it's kind of a fake. We despise it. We hate it. When you hear the word hoedown and you have to walk into that spot and come up with something, it's horrific. It's terrifying. And the Dan Patterson, the producer, always wants at least 3. So you're going to be doing 3 on vending machines. And it's like, I'm killing myself to come up with 1 joke on vending machines. To come up with 3 that rhyme is impossible. And there's nothing worse than, you got, okay, I got something. And the guy beside you does that rhyme. And then you're just fucked. It's horrific. It's horrific.
And I've heard the only thing that tends to bring you fear is the singing portions of the show, and why you tend to just kind of talk your way through them.
It is, but it's gotten better for me. In the stage show I do with Brad, we've actually incorporated a lot of singing, and I've gotten a lot better. I mean, I'm nowhere near those guys, but I can sell it now. And in the hypnotist show, one of the scenes was me and one of the hypnotized people would do a Broadway ballad. And that was always the thing, is like, I don't know why I said I would do this. And it was always the scene I would have the most fun with. So it's, again, I'm not going to threaten Wayne Brady, but, I can get through it.
Yeah. I mean, we got a bunch of questions now coming in too about the hoedown and what's harder, the Irish drinking song or the hoedown?
Hoedown, definitely, hands down. Irish drinking song, I don't know, there's a rhythm to it, and you're right. You don't have to think of the whole rhyme. You're kind of working off the other people. Hoedown. Yeah. I just can't tell you how horrible it is. It's not even a musical style. How many people say, "Oh, let's go"? You got your hoedown LP? No. LP. How old am I?
Now, truth be told, I knew it was kind of a nerve to touch, and I just wanted to get a reaction out of you. So I appreciate you performing right on cue. It's amazing.
A little controversy.
Okay. All right. So we're running. That's it. We're pretty much out of time. But I do want to give you a moment to promote anything that you have coming up. Where can people find you? How can they follow you? How can they connect with you?
Okay. I'm on Twitter at Colin Mochrie. I'm pretty sure that's it. ColinandBradshow.com has a list of our, once we get back to touring live. Also, Brad and I are doing shows, I think every Saturday this month. If you go to passportshows.com, get a ticket. It's a fun show, and it's really different, I think, from anything else that's going on. And I think that's it right now.
Can I kick a few at you?
Yeah.
You have a Kickstarter movie that you're doing with Amber Nash that people can.
That's right, Amber Nash.
Which I think is phenomenal.
Yeah, I started. I guess about like 7 years ago. I was doing something in Vancouver, and I bumped into Kevin Galeese, a good Canadian boy who was running this Atlanta improv company called Dad's Garage. And he asked me if I would come and do some shows there. So I said, sure. And it's become one of my favorite places. The amazing improvisers. Amber Ash, for those of you who don't know, she is Pam on Archer, very accomplished. And we're doing a Christmas movie about a somewhat dysfunctional family. And one of the stars is a special needs man who they did a short film with, and he's amazing. He's just a really good actor, a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. I think we're shooting that in December. Yeah, so I'm going to put that in the chat so that way people can find it and link to it and I think contribute, because I think it's a phenomenal project. I'm super excited to see it come to life. The last thing I'll help you plug. I think you're doing an AMA tomorrow at 1 p.m. Thank God you're here. I am the worst at promotion. I really am. I just suck. I'm doing an AMA tomorrow at 1 o'clock with the lovely Amber Nash. Ask me anything.
I mean, that's kind of what we did, but Yeah. You'll have more. Like
except I have to type now.
Well, yeah, you have to respond.
I tried to do it with dictate. No. Talk about autocorrect. It was just like, what? What did I say? That makes no... Oh, no. I'm going to have to type.
Wow. Thank you, Colin, for being here so much. I mean, everybody has loved it. They're again, just sending you a ton of love from the chats. This has been a phenomenal conversation. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, it was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
I kind of feel bad about going now. But
Not at all.
I'll answer 5 more questions.
Five more? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll give you 5 more questions.
Okay, well, I'll give you. What was it?
That's okay. I don't want to bump another guest.
No,
if you have Matt Damon coming up.
We had a certain president you like to make fun of, but it's fine. He can wait. It's fine. We'll give him to you here. We'll give you like a quick, fast. What do they call them? Like a speed round. Here you go.
Okay.
So as a celebrity, I don't know if you know this, you're a celebrity. What's the craziest rumor or gossip you've heard about yourself?
Okay. That Ryan Stiles killed me accidentally when backing out of his driveway. And this, I know. It's like, those are, I would think, fairly easy to check up on. I mean, as a celebrity, I would think I would get at least a little bit of ink in a newspaper, as opposed to, I heard Ryan Stiles killed his co-star I think that would be like a good story.
Yeah,
Didn't happen. It didn't happen.
It's okay. We'll get him next time. We'll get him next time.
Okay.
Who's been your favorite one-off guest performer to work with?
Oh, on whose line? Well, I mean, Robin Williams. He was everybody's. I mean, he inspired all of us, I think, with improv. But then when he was on the show, like he was an Oscar winner, and he was doing our show, and he was one of the guys, and he one of those people who I love, who knows the crew's name within 20 minutes of working with everyone, and just makes everyone feel, yeah, you're an important part of this. Hey, Jerry the Grip, hey, or you would talk to the cameraman. Am I in this shot? Am I? And so everyone felt like they were. I still don't know the names of the cameramen. I don't care. But he really brought that to the fore. That this is an ensemble art. Everyone. We can't do it without lights. We can't do it without video. We need everybody here working together. So it was great just to be in the area of his brilliance as an improviser, but also to be in his space as a wonderful person.
Oh, that's incredible. I can't imagine what it would have been to share a stage like that's incredible.
Oh, and he sweat. He went through 3 shirts. And the last shirt he took off, and some woman said, throw it to me. And he threw it, and all you heard was, like, oh.
I mean, that amount of energy, I mean, it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, there was nothing less than 110%.
Oh, that's incredible to be there in that moment. Okay, a couple more. So, hey, celebs are just like us. What's your biggest starstruck moment? That time you couldn't get the words out in front of someone?
I'm a hockey fan. So I was at this, one of the sports commentators up here, his wife had a charity. So he would ask my wife, Deb, and I to come out, and we would do charity auctions. And one year we came out, and he came over to me and said, Bobby Orr is at our table. For those who don't know, you're insane. He's the best defenseman I've ever played. Bobby Orr is at the table, and he'd like you to join us for dinner. And I went, oh. I said, well, I'm here with a bunch of friends. And my wife goes, are you a fucking idiot? It's Bobby Orr. You're going to see these friends tomorrow. So I went, and it was just, I couldn't stop looking at him. And he said, I just want to say my wife and I are big fans of the show. We think you're really funny. And I went, I have a doll of you, and it's still in the box. I was like, okay, I got to go somewhere now.
I don't know how you follow that up. That's it.
No, he was very gracious, and the more he made me very relaxed after that. But it was a rocky beginning.
Oh, that's outstanding. Okay, 2 more. The games for Whose Line. Do you guys ever get a say as far as like pitching ideas? Like, hey, this could work. Can we try this? Or is it kind of pre-established before you even get in there?
Yeah, every once in a while. New Choice, that came from Brad Sherwood. That was his game. I'm trying to think. Usually, no. I'm just trying to think. I mean, a lot of the games have been games, throughout the history of improv that have been tweaked a little. I think we may have come up with a couple of tweaks for games, but nothing. I think New Choice is the only game I can think of right off the top of my head that was something that they didn't have in their stable of games, and Brad Pott brought it.
Okay. All right. We'll end with this one. So, very much, you see actors on TV and, excuse me, my throat. The character they play is either, really close to home and kind of like them personally, or the completely opposite. So I'm curious, the characters that we get to see out of you guys on Whose Line, who is the most like how they are on the show, and who is the least like? I know we've already said you, but other than you, who's the least like kind of the character they portray on the show?
Question. I mean, the show is very odd in that people think they know us because we're not we're being ourselves, but we're being sort of heightened versions of ourselves. Ryan, that's pretty much Ryan. What you see, that's him totally. Kind of clueless in a way, doesn't know about technology, doesn't know Star Wars from Star Trek. Greg is not as caustic in real life as he would appear on stage. He's actually a very sensitive, lovely human being, one of the smartest, which I think comes across in the show, but he knows everything about everything, especially baseball. I think he knows the lifetime batting average of everyone that's ever played the sport. He knows all the facts and figures. He got to interview a lot of the people like Willie Mays and for various things. People from the Negro League. He was at a dinner there, so he's curious about everything. Wayne's a little more relaxed off stage because he has that energy. He has a lot of energy,
right?
But he's the youngest, so and a lot of it is cocaine. Let's be honest. But no, he and who else is there? Everyone else is. Aisha she's probably the closest. There's probably the very thin line between who she is off stage and who she is on stage. She's very confident, very in charge of everything, not afraid of anything. And Laura and Linda, who you don't really get to know, are just, first of all, both amazing musicians. Linda is one of the most amazing guitarists I've ever seen. Laura can do anything in the improv world and beyond. And they're both they have very sneaky senses of humor. Linda is very dry, very a little bit of sarcasm. Laura looks very innocent, but can cut you like a knife. But I have to say, person for person, a really great group. They're all good friends. And, for a show that's been going for 30 years, that's pretty good. I think it helps that we only do like 2 weekends. We don't get each other's nerves.
Right. That's why it's fun every time you see each other because you don't see each other often. All right. Well, the last one, because, with COVID being there, you've now, before you got back into rolling with the technology and the show, you're kind of getting a sense of maybe retirement. You're getting a taste of not being so busy. Has that made you eager to retire or more motivated to get back out there and get to work again?
It's actually really interesting because I never thought about retiring. I've always been, like a lazy workaholic. I enjoy working. I don't really go out of my way for it, but right before the lockdown happened and I had to go back to Canada, I was doing the tour with Brad. I was doing the tour with the hypnotist, and I was filming a movie in Utah. And that for 3 months, it was just going from one thing to another. And then the next day, I was in the vulnerable portion of a pandemic. And I thought, I've always had problems on vacations. I get antsy after a couple of days. The only place I didn't was Italy. I could have just stayed there forever. But usually it's like, I got to get back to doing something. With this, I thought, you know what? I think I could retire. I think I would find things to do. It's the longest I've been home in literally 18 years. And it was nice sort of reconnecting with my wife and my daughter. And it was nice. I don't think I could fully 100%. I'd have to have something.
Sure.
Like touring on the weekends. Basically that's what it is now anyway. So, but yeah, I was happy to find that, I do have a personal life. I do have something that I don't have to be constantly asking for love from audiences all around the world. I can get it at home.
Fantastic. I do got to say, because I read you somewhere talk about Italy too before. I was stationed. I don't know if you can see my tattoo, but I was stationed in Italy. That's where I did most of my career, and I've been all around the world. I could not agree with you more. Italy, hands down, is the most beautiful people, most beautiful country, long history, amazing food,
Oh, yeah.
vistas. It's
The
gorgeous.
worst bottle of wine is the best bottle of wine.
Absolutely. I ate scraps off the floor of a corner store, and it was the most amazing food I've ever eaten. There's a lot of bad military jokes like that. All right. Well, guys, this has been Colin Mochrie. I mean, I don't know what else you want. Colin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are welcome back anytime. If you ever want to come around and just chat or promote anything, we'd love to have you. And I know the audience would come with 100 more questions. So we'll definitely, guys, we're gonna toss it to a short break. We'll be right back after this. Shots.